The room appears settled before any deliberate focus is applied to it. Visual information organizes itself prior to conscious direction. Detail becomes available before attention intentionally searches for it. Perception settles before awareness decides where to rest. Subtle progression occurs before it is intentionally tracked. The space stabilizes before attention confirms its stability. Surface responses complete themselves without being summoned. Visual balance is established before it is mentally acknowledged. Recognition trails slightly behind perception.
The scene arranges itself before any internal instruction is given.
Focus seems to land before you decide where it should go. Attention appears guided by conditions already in place. Awareness confirms what perception has already selected. Minor adjustments occur before they are mentally assigned meaning. The present establishes itself before you attempt to follow it. Continuity forms without requiring conscious maintenance. Stability precedes your intention to hold it. Consistency becomes visible only after it has already been functioning. The absence of change is noticed after it has already occurred. You follow attention only after it has already moved. Perception initiates before intention forms. The shift in focus occurs slightly ahead of awareness. You become aware of attention only after it has settled. The moment completes its transition before you register the movement. By the time you try to guide attention, it has already arrived. The direction of light suggests that attention may have shifted before you consciously followed it. Illumination gathers where your focus did not intentionally rest. Perception appears to have responded before the object fully settled. Orientation seems to have adjusted before awareness confirmed it. Shadow structure forms as if guided by an unseen shift in focus. Light emphasizes what you did not deliberately choose to examine. Reflections settle into positions that feel slightly pre-selected. Visual priority appears to shift without your consent. Focus duplicates itself as though it has already moved ahead. Directional certainty weakens as attention seems to arrive late. The environment highlights itself before you decide where to look. Posture adjusts before intention claims responsibility. Depth reorganizes before awareness identifies the change. Expected gradients reverse before your focus adapts.
Alignment shifts appear to precede your attempt to track them.
Single inputs begin producing more than one visual destination. Attention appears guided by conditions already rearranged. Orientation changes feel slightly ahead of your internal command. Separation between elements softens before you attempt to define it. The room appears to guide focus instead of receiving it. Clarity shifts before you deliberately redirect it. Visual emphasis relocates before you become aware of the relocation. Alignment shifts appear to occur independently of your awareness. Causal direction becomes ambiguous before you decide where to look. Attention appears to move first, leaving awareness slightly behind. The environment appears to respond before your awareness catches up to it. Effects continue briefly after the moment that seems to initiate them. The room holds a trace of a moment that seems to have already passed. Conflicting time cues coexist without resolving into a single present. Cause and result stop feeling perfectly simultaneous. Expectation begins forming before perception confirms anything has changed. Visual updating feels slightly delayed. The present moment appears slightly out of sync with itself. The room seems to carry visual memory alongside the current image. More than one moment appears to occupy the same visual field. Effects no longer conclude exactly when their causes appear to end. Recognition begins arriving after perception has already completed its selection. Temporal indicators quietly disagree about which instant this is. The present feels slightly retrospective. Object and environment stop feeling entirely simultaneous. Change begins feeling buffered rather than immediate. The scene gives the impression of having already occurred. Temporal reference points slide without direction. Visual memory overlaps with immediate perception. The room feels slightly behind itself. Completion no longer follows change immediately. The present stretches without clearly advancing. The room behaves like a memory that is still unfolding. The scene appears to wait for its own confirmation. Time no longer occupies a single, stable position within the room. The room presents itself as complete, without indicating whether attention has just arrived or never left. Visual order settles into a condition that no longer requires direction. Elements align into relationships that feel self-sustaining. Orientation stabilizes without announcing a correction. Balance returns without clarifying when it shifted. Light resumes behavior that no longer competes for focus. Visual complexity reduces into a steady state. The environment settles into a readable condition. Orientation holds without inviting reinterpretation. Cause and effect appear reconnected without commentary. Spatial logic resumes without drawing attention to itself. Continuity replaces fluctuation. The room no longer implies forward movement. Nothing within the frame signals transition.
The scene feels sufficient without declaring completion.
Stability persists without measuring duration. The present loses distinction from what came before. Temporal markers fade into repetition.
Recognition replaces inquiry. Nothing appears unresolved.
The environment offers completion without explanation. Nothing suggests a subsequent moment. The scene feels complete in a way that implies recurrence. Observation no longer produces alteration. By the time you attempt to guide attention, the cycle is already prepared to begin again.